Hello and welcome to this video update on the work conducted to date by the Religious and Special Interest Archives Group. Group members include Isabella Sado, Marlene Cardenas, Yuval Don, Hilary Meehan, and Stacy Miller. All 5 members of this Preservation Needs Assessment Survey team are MLIS students on the Archives and Preservation's pathway. We chose this area of investigation because we each value non-conventional community-centered archives. Bastian and Flynn explain it best in their book, Community Archives and Community Spaces, stating, "The practice of community archiving is not only a compelling and diverse international endeavor in its own right, but presages shifts in archival development as society increasingly engages with records and with peoples whose lives and histories have often seemed to exist beyond and outside of the mainstream." In sum, such archives represent a particular group of people, their worldviews, and their experiences, and that fascinates us professionally and personally. Identifying an archives for our survey, however, presented a distinct challenge, finding one that has public-facing preservation policies available and which appeal to all group members. Due to these challenges, and in order to work within the scope and context of the project assignment, we collectively agreed to survey a more established, conventionally oriented religious and special interest archives, the American Jewish Archives. The AJA's organizational mission is to collect, preserve, and make available for research, materials, and the history of Jews and Jewish communities in the Western Hemisphere, primarily focusing on America, including data of a political, economic, social, cultural, and religious nature. Our next step was to gain a contextual understanding of the AJA's mission, goals, collections, tangible and virtual spaces, services, policies, and funding sources. This week, the group completed phase 1 of our project. As you see here, we agreed on our group communication schedules and roles, selected an archives with accessible preservation planning documents, established project goals and strategies, and began clarifying for ourselves AJA's core preservation program elements. Survey project goals include evaluating the AJA's organizational policies, practices, and conditions related to preservation of archival collections, assessing the general state of collections to understand what is needed to most effectively preserve and make accessible the collections for the long term, and identifying, prioritizing, and preparing a report on specific preservation needs and recommended actions. Phase 2 of the assessment includes the following steps. Identify the standards and best practices which will guide our work. As the AJA focuses on the Jewish American experience, evaluation and reporting will occur within the context of the ethics, values, standards, and best practices endorsed by the Society of American Archivists. Research and develop preservation needs assessment survey instrument. The group identified several resources from which to develop our survey tool, including the questionnaire in McAllister's 2007 article entitled Designing a Preservation Survey, the Digital Library of Georgia, and also the Archival Resources for Catholic Collections Religious Community Archive checklist. Commence formal data collection on those preservation program elements identified by Ritzenthaler. These include preservation policy formation, preservation planning, staff and researcher training, holdings maintenance, environmental control and monitoring, disaster control, preservation duplication, and conservation treatment. Once data is collected, formal assessment, evaluation, and reporting will take place. This slide shows the references cited in this presentation. Thank you all for your time and attention during our presentation. We look forward to learning about your preservation surveys too. Best of luck to you all. Bye-bye.